want it done properly. Maybe mine doesn't work.
Yeah, he was just whispering. He likes to whisper to see if they can hear him in the back.
Right.
Just test.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At 7 p.m. we will reconvene a recessed meeting of the council. I'll ask that you stand for the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item of business this evening is a public hearing. That public hearing is with respect to a proposal to amend Chapter 8 of the Little Compton Town Code, specifically rules and regulations for the transfer station and transfer station fees. We are ready to hear from the public any comments you may have with respect to the published rules. I would point out that we have before us, or in our possession already, materials from Mrs. Montgomery, Mrs. Passmore, and
That's it.
that's the two that we have, the written comments that those two ladies have submitted. So those matters are in the hands of each of the councilors. Are there any other matters that anyone wishes to raise with respect to the proposal? Yes, sir.
I really don't know the details that go that deep with it. I saw it on the agenda, but I come down and learn a little more. And so you're asking for input right away. So as usual, I'm a little behind the curve, living on my rock, like that earlier. But I'm opposed to any increase in fee for the dump. The initial dump sticker, as I remember, was set up to identify town residents and to deter out people who don't live in town, don't pay taxes here, from coming in and using the transfer station. And it was I think, $5 fee on it. Well, I did it once and then refused to pay the $5 because I pay my taxes every year. And I think that's where the funding from the dump should come from. Come out of the tax bill. It has a line item. Whatever it takes to run the transfer station and its associated expenses should come out of that line item. And to simplify things, the sticker to identify the individuals in town who live here should be given at no charge, and it should be a one-time sticker. And or you could go and if you were questioned about your residency, display proof that you live here, like take the tax bill on your window or something. But this is just a creep of the budget. It puts the operation expenses outside the budget, and I guess there's some other fee. I'm not quite sure. Maybe you can enlighten me on the construction or something. There's something there that goes beyond or below the level of a contract where they have to pay. The contractor's fee is fine, in my opinion. If I have a whole pallet shipping box or something, I'd be happy. I'd be happy to keep going and just putting it in the appropriate box over without having to pay a fee every time I go over to get rid of some of that yard trash, household trash, whatever I'm generating in the course of everyday life. I think the council should back away from this and simplify it and just consolidate the expenses running out of the operation of the dump to the tax bill and leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a brief response to those points. The reason that we moved from a perpetual sticker to one that was annual was to address what you described. That is, there was a feeling, there was a certain knowledge that many vehicles showed up at the transfer station with a sticker that came with the car they bought from someone who once lived in, or maybe now lives, in Little Compton, and therefore they had a Little Compton sticker and had perpetual. So our effort was to say, we're going to ask that people get one annually. To your point about its support for the cost of operating the transfer station, you're exactly right in that the preponderance of the money that is spent on moving materials to Johnston and paying the tipping fee once they're there is through a tax or a line in the budget that is supported by real estate tax. We decided on a $5 fee somewhat as a starting point, and this proposal is to increase that fee. In either case, are there maybe less than 1,000 stickers issued in a year, or are there more than 1,000?
2,000?
2,000. So the 2,000 stickers that are issued would produce currently 10,000 in revenue. Yet the line for the transfer station is many hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it is rather minuscule with respect. Your point's well made that, yes, now government is doubling or tripling or whatever that fee, therefore that's a problem that you're addressing. We will get more revenue should this be the way that it ends up, but it won't be the amount necessary to run the transfer station. With respect to your comment about construction debris, I think you've correctly hit the nail on the head. What we're trying to do is not make it available to someone to say, I'm about to do a major rehab, so should I go and get myself a dumpster, or should I just pay a couple of $100 and take a rather large load to the transfer station and fill up the barrel, or rather the receiver that you are using, or as a citizen, you're intending to put your one piece of plywood in that came out of some project that you're doing. And so that's why that particular item has been increased in its value. I'll defer to those who were part of
the other part of this is the recyclables.
Go ahead.
We're just not keeping up with the recycling. We're falling behind, and our fees are going up because we're not getting enough recycling put into the transfer station. So it's not a blame game. It's just we're trying to recoup some of the loss and drive our recycling rate up. I think you used the denominator explanation. If we can get the contractor debris down, it's going to make even what we're doing now for recycling better. So we're just trying to find a balance with this whole thing.
May I comment and also respond to the three comments that we've received so far? I think when we were first proposed with the changes in this ordinance, the primary reason for it was to address the contractor debris, construction debris that's been building up at the dump, and that we've had to haul to Johnston very regularly. I think, from my understanding, the biggest problem with all that debris that we get from the construction guys is that it's counting towards our cap that we pay. So, we pay a certain rate to haul trash, or to give our trash to the Johnston dump, and when we hit that cap, we have to pay an even larger amount after that per ton of trash that we have to put there. So every time that we bring a huge load of construction debris to the dump, that counts towards our cap. And we're trying to lower that so we don't end up paying as much over the year, and we don't hit that cap as quickly because of that construction debris that we're paying to dump there. Ultimately, at the moment, the contractors are paying a fee to dump their construction debris at the dump, but it's not really making up for what we spend in the long term. So I think we're trying to do away with that. And I don't see that primary reason for addressing this ordinance as raising the sticker fee. So I do agree with the 3 comments that we've heard so far regarding raising the fee of the sticker. I don't think that's a necessary move, at least not up to $25. I think we do have some people in town that are on a fixed budget. The taxpayers do contribute towards the dump. So I think, I'd be more comfortable passing this with a lower dump sticker fee, if we're gonna go with an increase at all. So
What does the council feel about lowering it to $10 from $25 for the transfer station? Either that or leave it.
I want to follow up on Andrew's thing. One thing that happened is Resource Recovery used to give us a lesser rate for our contractor debris. And I don't know, I think Bill's here somewhere.
They used to treat it as cover material.
Cover material.
And therefore, as a result, we could tip, as I recall, it was for free. I don't believe there was any charge. And suddenly, construction debris became solid waste.
And that's what really triggered all this, was Resource Recovery changing the rules on us. They, middle of the game, they changed the rules. And so now it looked like we were losing money on a deal. We weren't even breaking even with what we were putting in from the town. So that's what spirited this. I have no problem with lowering the fee, but I'm actually thinking, Gary, that maybe we should do senior citizen discount, or after a certain age, maybe lower the fee to $1 or something, just because anybody who's on a fixed income, I just don't want to embarrass anybody by saying, come in and give us a financial statement, and if you don't have enough money, we'll give you a break. I don't want to put people in that position.
Well, why don't we just leave it at the $5 that it's at right now? I think the main thrust that we were looking at is getting rid of the contractors actually not making money, but skating under the window here, so to speak, to bring their construction debris when they actually should get a dumpster. Okay, because it was cheaper to go over there, 3 or 4 pickup truck
And
loads
this
with
isn't
it.
to prohibit someone who decides they're going to shingle the side of their house on their own from throwing it all in the back of the truck and bringing it to the transfer station. They'll still pay that regular
$75.
$75 a truckload, whatever it is, like normal, and they don't have to rent a dumpster. This is to prohibit the contractors that are remodeling a home and doing that and getting a big trailer and coming in and dumping it, because it's saving them money. And because the town's picking up the slack and paying for the excess.
If I could just, I don't know if the public has this document, that I think, Bill, you put this together, that I'm reading here.
It's reliable.
Right, so there's other things in it, I don't know if anyone's read it, but, the number 6 is construction debris received directly from the property owner, small quantities of work done on the property. Acknowledged commercial construction debris will no longer be accepted. So that tells me it was accepted at one point, won't be accepted anymore. So, we're all stuck on the $25 of other stuff in here. So that's one thing that's in here. And obviously the $25, and also there's a temporary coupon that residents will get, temporary residents. And it suggested that goes from $2 to $5. So that's also in here. There's also a seasonal pass purchased by summer residents that will allow passage into the town transfer station. That fee goes up from $5 to $15. And then, like Council Galveston says, it's $75 if you're going to bring stuff in. So those are the other things that are in this recommendation here. The council may consider, maybe seasonal passes go up to $25 for summer residents. Maybe temporary residence goes up from 2, suggested to 5, maybe it goes up to $10. Just some other things that were in here that could be discussed.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I'll be right to you next, sir.
Oh, go ahead. Well, the only thing is, like, if when you did the budget for this year, and you didn't put enough money in there, money. Now you're saying that the fees are going up for you to tip it. Is that true? That what you put in for the dump is not going to cover it?
is it true that the fees have changed since we put the budget together, and therefore we're now trying to make up for that?
Right.
That is not true.
No.
That is not true. That, we did anticipate the fact that we are charging for construction debris too little to suppress the idea that someone can say, do I get myself a dumpster in my backyard, or do I just take it to the transfer station? And we are trying to reduce that. But no, we're not trying to make up for something that we suddenly discovered as being
All right, and then the second thing I want to say is, if recycling is the thing that we need to work on, then we need to educate the townspeople to recycle. I recycle everything that I possibly can. And now I'm going to be 500% of what I read in the paper was going up to $25 from $5 I'm paying. That doesn't seem really fair. I think we need to do more education on recycling and making that important. Because if we recycle, then we're not going to have as much trash. Right?
Carolyn, my move is to lower the stickers back down to $5 from 25, so there'll be no increase on the sticker. It'll stay at $5. That's my proposal. And we've put out,
We want to be sure to hear from the public, but to Councilor Mataronis's point, I think we're hearing loud and clear that that's a problem, and I think there's a consensus that it doesn't make sense for us to hold to that particular item as being important. What we want to gather the other things, which you've also brought forward. The questions are with respect to how did we make some of these other decisions. So it's just...
I think of people having two vehicles, if they have something too big for their car, they have to use their car. So that means double. You know, it's $5 for this, or it's 25 and 25. So sometimes you have something that's too big for the back of the car. I'm lucky I don't usually have it, but some people do. They have to use their little truck.
Okay,
So stop and think of that too.
good.
Thank you.
Mr. Body. Sure.
I'm going to apologize to everybody because I just came here on a whim tonight. I didn't realize we're having a public hearing on this. But as many of you know, I was on the town council. When I was on the town council, I was the liaison to the transfer station. 5, 6 years ago, when Manchester and Harrington quit the trash business, I decided that I was going to try the trash business. So I feel I'm in a bit of a unique position because I saw the numbers. I saw what we paid. I saw what we done. I'm at the transfer station 3 times a week. I'm picking up trash, I'm picking up things. And I think, I don't want to say you're barking up the wrong tree, but if you're going after the construction debris, I really think you're barking up the wrong tree. There are 2 ways to raise your recycling rate, and we've been talking about this for years. And I sat there right with you guys, and I was thinking the same way until I started picking up trash. When I started picking up trash, I realized how much food waste goes into that transfer station. It's unreal. I found out just through a conversation with somebody that roughly 30% of all trash is compostable material. That's stuff that can be used for gardening. For those of you in the garden club, you know, I mean, all kinds of compost that we could have. But it's just being thrown away. I mean, come Halloween, right after Halloween, I'm going to get plastic bags full of pumpkins. All summer long, I'm picking up corn cobs, watermelon rinds. So when I say you're barking up the wrong tree, there are 2 ways to raise your recycling rate. Okay? You're going to increase your recycling. But I see a lot of recycling. I pick up a lot of it. The other way to increase your recycling rate is lower your tonnage. And if you can lower your tonnage by 30%, our recycling rate would skyrocket. When they talk about skyrocket, the rate, they're not talking about how many tons you send up there, but they're talking about the ratio. You know, how many, what percentage of your stuff is recycling. And we're around, what, 25, 27%, I think?
We rarely achieve 27. Right. We're under 25%.
We're under 25, okay, it's been a while since I've looked at the numbers. In 2018, I ran the numbers from fiscal year 2018 because I was asked to do a talk at the library. And the way I figured it was if we could hit the true 30%, now this includes 30% tonnage reduction and the number of truckloads, because it costs us every truckload to go to the central landfill. At the time, it was $200 a truckload. That we would have saved $50,000 in our budget just by hitting that 30% composting rate. And we sell compost bins downstairs at cost, at $50. I bought one the first time we got one, and I still have it, and I still haven't filled it up. In the summertime, it drops so fast, it's unbelievable. And it's so easy. But the biggest problem we have is, I can talk to all of you who are residents here, and you live here year-round, and this is a great idea. But then, come summertime, we have the weekly rentals. Oh my word. People come here from New York. They come, I don't want to pick on New York. They come here from all over the place. Okay, I mean, they come from Fall River. They do. I mean, it's not any one particular place, but they're coming here for vacation for a week. At the end of the week, they bought all this food, it's in the refrigerator, they're not taking it home. They're throwing it out. And if they haven't thrown it out, when the cleaners come in on Saturday, they're taking full jars of pickles, relish, and nobody's buying little things. You know, you go up to Wilbur's and you buy a ketchup bottle this big, it's 3/4 full. It's all going in the trash. It's not being emptied out of the bottles and cans, and it's just all food waste. So, to your point, education is extremely important. I don't have a problem with raising the fees for the stickers. I say I've got a sticker on my vehicle every single year. I'm the one who proposed going to once a year, the annual. I thought at the time, basically the $5 is going to cover the cost of buying the stickers, the administration costs, maybe a little bit more, but certainly it wasn't going to have any impact on the budget for the transfer station. Since this pandemic has hit, it's gotten even worse. Your construction debris is not quite barking up the wrong tree in that respect, because people have been cleaning out their basements, their attics, their garages. I mean, the amount of stuff going through that transfer station that I see, and I couldn't even tell you what the numbers are, the tonnage. Carol could probably come up with that pretty quick, but I'm sure it's increased, I don't know about double, but at least 50%. It's huge. My fee's $300 for the commercial haulers. If you doubled it, wouldn't bother me one bit. I mean, obviously, I'm going to pass it on. I'm going to pass it on a little bit. But I mean, if you doubled the residence fee to $10, I've got two. I'm paying for the trash haulers permit, and I'm putting one on my pickup truck every year. Put one on every year. It's what, 10 years, Carol? We've been doing it? That's $50. I've paid the past 10 years for my own personal vehicle. I understand the idea that, yes, we should have that paid for out of the taxes, but when we look at other cities and towns in the state, $5, it's a bargain. $10, $50 is a bargain. Portsmouth, you're paying $150, plus you have to buy bags. You have to buy the Portsmouth bags, just like Tiverton does. I don't even know what Tiverton's got trash pickup now, so I don't know what they're doing for that. But we've got the best deal around. I'm not trying to throw water on anybody here, but, like I said, I mean, we want the recycling rate to go up. And we try hard. We talk in these town council meetings, and 3 or 4 people show up, and nobody's getting it. But I'm seeing the composting is the biggest problem we have. It really is. And I invite any one of you to ride in my truck. You don't even have to throw the trash. We'll just show you. It's unreal. And this is the best time of year to do it.
I don't want to ride the truck, but...
it's a brand new truck. It's
Are you
clean.
recommending a compost barrel for every house in this town?
I would, but the problem is getting, like I said, you know, I mean, everybody who's here, who's listening to me right now, would probably do that and compost. It's not hard. You get a little bucket in your kitchen, you throw all your vegetables and stuff that's not meat, not bones, not dairy, and you take it out every couple of days and you dump it in the bin. But when you get people here on vacation, you need to get your landlords and, you know, all your people renting to get on board. It's really the biggest problem we've got, I think, personally. I mean, it's not a scientific evaluation, but it's what I observe. I know that, you know, we're kind of talking about trying to start a pilot program with composting. We're just in the very beginning stages of talking about it, to do something with the school. And where that goes, I don't know. I mean, how long it would take to get something going. But, I mean, that's really, I think that's the biggest way to go. I mean, if you raise your construction debris fees a little bit, I mean, I don't know how much impact it would have. I think, you know, I've gone up there. I mean, my big truck that I use to trash, my cost is $150 for a construction debris to dump it. And anytime I get a basement clean out or a garage clean out, I tell people I can't, you know, I have to pay the town, I have to get the town fee to do this. My truck's not always full, but the size of the truck dictates the cost, you know. It's more than the pickup truck load, but it's not necessarily a full load for my big truck. But, and I'm not saying that I'm not complaining about those fees at all. But I am certainly willing to give any information I have, answer any questions you might have about what I see up there. I mean, we've tried things in the past. The recycling containers, the 2 recycling containers, used to be 30-yard containers. We raised them, we made them, we had to buy new ones, so we got 40-yard containers. Well, that reduces the number of truckloads going up to the central landfill in the recycling center. I mean, that's every 3rd load essentially becomes a free load. We've saved that $200.
I'm going to suggest that we take these matters, make sure that someone doesn't have something else that hasn't been, and then just walk through this draft and one by one just hit the numbers and get it done.
Yep. Well, and I'll finish up. And as I said, I wasn't prepared to do this, but I'm certainly willing to answer any questions.
Thanks.
As best I can. Right?
Thank you. Yes, Mrs. Passmore.
For one thing, I have 2 vehicles that I go to the doctor. It's an increase, there'll be 1 vehicle to go to the job. There will not be 2 stickers. Number 2, how many people go to the job without valid stickers? You should zero in on making sure everyone who goes to the job has a valid sticker.
That is a very timely question. It has been actually very recently undertaken by the administrator, who has spent 3 4-hour periods there, and the number is dramatic. It's dramatic, the number of people who do not choose to get an annual sticker. Back to our point about how it is. There is, let me just...
So maybe they should not be allowed to dump that day.
Well, that is also a process that we're undertaking now. But if I could focus us back to what this is, that is a very important facet of this. It does us little good to say you have to have a sticker if we don't care if it's there. So that is a process that right now is being done, and I'll ask the administrator to speak to that.
And then your contractors, theirs will possibly go up. That's not the only one that goes up, because that goes up for all of us, because they pass that increase to us as they put the black trash. So if we're all going to be paying, whether it's the contractors or not the contractors, indirectly, we are paying because it's our trash is going through their thing. So
we're trying.
I have no answer, definitely. But, I mean, I understand just to ourselves right now. Don't worry about what the next town does. Let's work on our town and what's best for our town and not reflect what other people are doing. Stand alone and stand up for our town and for our residents.
The group that was assembled to propose this, I believe, has done precisely that. They have not looked and said, I wish we were Portsmouth, I wish we were something else. They have attempted. Now, the degree to which the numbers come out is what we're trying to debate this evening and say, what are the right answers? You've already heard one recommendation, really from this side of the table, says we ought not increase the sticker price at all. Okay? If that single step were all that we took, that would get at part of what you're talking about. But there is no intention to try to say, let's see if we can't really, while people are looking the other way, change the amount that they have to pay for this or that. Rather, we're trying to say, which things are at the transfer station being taken advantage of, as any reasonable businessman or businesswoman would, as being a more efficient way to do business. That is, if the transfer station is willing to take my box of stuff for less than it would cost me to have somebody else haul it away, I'll just take it to the transfer station. Those are the kinds of things, and I acknowledge that they will be passed on in some fashion to the consumer, but they're not being done for the purpose of saying, let's figure out a way to pile it on to the consumer. We're saying, let's look at the processes we have and try to take the ones that are foolish wastes of our money as a town and specifically say those things are no longer going to be done. Yes, sir.
If I may,
Yeah.
Mr. President. As President Rushing pointed out, I did spend 3-4-hour turns at the transfer station, checking folks into the transfer station, and I was very surprised as to how many people were coming without stickers. You know, and I have those numbers, and I will be compiling that information for the council for the next meeting. Unfortunately, I have all the information from those three visits that I made at the transfer station. The other piece is just a few numbers. The question was asked earlier by Councilor Moore if I had the numbers and assistance here with the director. Moore, I was able to come up with the numbers. It's 200 tons that we received since last July to this July, 1-year period, 200 tons of construction material that came through the transfer station. So that is quite a bit of weight. The recycling rate at the present time is 23.5.
Thank you.
And just briefly addressing the number there, is the rate that's the sticker price being raised to offset the fees of the transportation and the tipping fee. We actually, this year, we had to allocate extra money because of COVID. Folks returned to the town much earlier than anticipated. The numbers increased right through the roof at the transfer station, believe me. And we had to allocate an additional $40,000, to make up for the gap last year of FY21. That being said, for FY22, we have made the appropriate adjustments, projecting the appropriate adjustments to make sure that we don't fall short. So we're not relying on the increase of the sticker for the transfer station, if that's helpful.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, if I could just say a couple of things about this subject near and dear to my heart. Back in 2020, prior to the pandemic, a group of us got together. Mr. Textera was in a couple of those meetings. We had a series of meetings in which we discussed the transfer station. We started off with the premise that Little Compton recycling does the third worst of any community running a transfer station in the state of Rhode Island. The third worst. Only Block Island, and I think it might have been Westerly, but there was another community that did better, if you will. They were worst on the list. So we started off with the premise that, yes, something had to be done, and we looked at it in several dimensions. The first was one that Mr. Boddington referred to, is education. Education because we don't compost correctly in this town, and second of all, we don't educate the sticker recipients with enough information as to how we should accept material that comes into the transfer station. There's confusion as to how to separate recyclables and non-recyclables. Well, if any of you have gone to the resource recovery operation, as I have and the others in our group had, you would see that those questions are answered wholesale. And it bears witness to the fact that education starts with those who operate the transfer station. We have not sent anybody who works at the transfer station to the resource recovery. We should, by all means, arrange for tours for those folks so that they can get a first-hand experience as to how recycling and solid waste is handled. We have a solid waste level, back in 2018 was the latest numbers I could find, of 0.71 tons per resident. I think that number is a little skewed because I don't know whether it takes into account part-time residents or year-round residents. I don't know whether it just counts dump sticker counts of residents who throw away waste. I'm a little unclear about that number. It seems to me we're about the state average, and I think that's probably a misnomer. You talked tonight about the construction waste being relatively high in this town because of the amount of renovation and building and so forth that goes on. So, problem number one was education. We got to do a better job, and that starts with, handing out the proper materials so people are educated. It starts with the school system. It starts with advocating solid waste management. That has to happen. The second thing is that we look at the fee structure. We are the bargain of Rhode Island. No question about it. We're below everybody else. It's a giveaway. What we allow for people to throw trash in this town it's so discounted that, it's hardly even a fee. I mean, $5 for a sticker, and you can pile in everything you want in that car and get away scot-free. It's ridiculously low. Look at Westport, which has a much stiffer fee, but if you look at Tiverton now, which has gone towards contracting pickups, look at Portsmouth. I don't like comparing with those towns because they're significantly larger than we, so let's compare ourselves to Richmond, Exeter, West Greenwich, Smithfield, get a better idea. So fee structure is obviously ridiculously low. We have a gap in contractor fees. It's not so much for the license for contractors to haul for our residents, but we have a gap on what those residents pay over and above the fee that the contractor charges to provide that service. We're missing out here, I think. If I understand the fee structure correctly, someone who comes up here for the summer months, gets a contractor to haul away their waste, they never see the transfer station, so they don't need a sticker. I think we have to address that issue. So, I don't know how this, and I haven't had a chance to look over your recommendation list. I'm a little dismayed that it's occurred without the input of this sort of blue ribbon committee, if you will, that we put together back in January and February of last year, which included Mr. Textera. But I thought we kept everybody abreast of what we were doing. So those are my comments. I'm dismayed that we're sort of going after the low-hanging fruit and thinking that's the solution when it ain't. This is a bigger problem, and it requires all of you to educate yourselves as to the extent of the issue and to address the various parts of the topic that contributes to the whole ball of wax. That's it, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Bill Moore, Director of Board. Mr. President, I just wanted to add just a little bit. Everybody had a bunch of great ideas, composting, upping our recycling, all that is great. This originally started because of the C&D, construction and debris hauling to the transfer station and fees. So we had to make a decision, do we raise the fees of construction debris, or do we slow down the amount of construction debris we bring in? Because it wasn't making sense. And I believe the consensus was between counselors and the people who worked on this document was 10% of the C&D, the C&D is 10% of the amount of trash we haul per rider. So if that's 10%, if we could lower that to 4% or 3%, then we would have more room in our cap. It would cost us less for hauling, and the contractors can run their business as they would any other town in the area. We're not comparing ourselves to other towns. However, there's a cost of doing business for contractors, and I don't believe all the taxpayers in the town should pay for the construction that's going on in the town. Some people have construction, some people don't. It averages out from year to year. However, I think that we came up with some numbers to curb construction debris, which costs us for our averages for recycling and costs us in our cap. And that way, let the contractors do their business as they would any other place in town, any other place in Rhode Island, I should say. And, and then the tires was the other part of the equation. The sticker price got thrown in at one of the meetings, just because. It wasn't the original reason why we started this process. So, I really wanted to angle in on construction debris and tires for this whole process. And then while we were at it, I guess other items came to light.
Great. I'm going to,
Real quick, the construction debris, $305. For a license fee is $300 to $500.
That's different. That's
so
trash.
what's the fee for a contractor to dump this truck?
It's $150.
Is that in here?
No, that's what it is
Being
now.
taken
That's what it is now.
Is that in this document?
No.
It's removing it. In this document, it says.
You can't take construction debris over to the transfer station anymore.
That's a commercial
As a
operation.
commercial
As a
operation.
commercial
You're a contractor, you can't go in and dump.
You have to get
Right.
you have to get a dumpster.
So
That's what's in here, proposing no more commercial
Okay.
construction
And
debris.
what's on the books now?
A $75 coupon for
Yeah.
anything that's 10,000 gross vehicle weight or less, and a $150 coupon for a larger vehicle.
So just to let you know, 3 dual-wheel dump trailers that you see all around, these construction trailers, will fill that dumpster. Okay? So that's $450 we'll get. or a dumpster full of trash that hurts us in recycling and hurts us on our cap at the end of the year for trash. The quality of trash is completely different, that's a whole different world. Thank you.
Let me say that we've been the recipient of a whole lot of information. I'm going to suggest that we march swiftly through this document and simply talk among ourselves about what we think we should do with the particular recommendation so that we can get to a new document. And I would propose that the first page lists increased fees. I see transfer station stickers increase from 5 to 25. I would propose we strike that and leave it at 5. I think this is a synopsis. This isn't the actual material. But I would propose that we don't raise transfer station sticker fees. Coupons for single day increase from $2 to $5. I would propose that remain there. I don't think that's used by people who, that's for a visitor to town, and we're going to say that visitor to town, we're going to charge $5 instead of $2. Thoughts on that?
This gentleman said they don't go. Is that true? That's seasonal and
No, a person
and
can,
coupons.
We sell those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, arbitrarily just said that
No,
No,
we sell them.
those-
they'll have people pick them up. I was
He's
just
never
wondering.
asked whether I sell those or not, but yes, we do.
We
sell
do.
those.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's
How
that?
many?
Yeah.
50, 100.
Yeah, so people on vacation here for a week won't go to the dump.
Some of them do. Some of them hire someone else, but some of them come in and actually use the one-time coupons.
Yeah, I would personally decrease that to $10. Personally.
okay?
But you can move on quickly.
Seasonal passes from $5 to $15. Would you propose that be also raised?
I still think that's cheap money.
So
I leave it as is, 15. Yeah, I agree.
from 5 to 15. Trash hauling licenses from 300 to 500. I believe that seems at least reasonable. Tires. Car tires, $5 each. Tractor tires, $10 each. Oversized tires, $100 each.
Now, those are fees set by resource recovery.
Right. That's recovering what we pay.
And that's what we're paying for.
How do we pay for the transportation? Is that on us as a result?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we pay it all.
So,
Still a deal. It's still a deal.
yeah, it's still a deal. So should we increase those at all?
The problem we had years ago when we tried to increase tires, prices taking them to the transfer station, on the way to the transfer station, they were getting dumped on the side of the road.
We're finding them all.
So, I mean, you got to look at it both ways.
Okay, so this represents an increase, perhaps not an onerous increase.
Right.
The rest of the way down the page, recyclable is an editorial change, tires is an editorial change. Next page, construction debris for work done on property, acknowledged commercial construction. That's to allow the homeowner to do what's been described as opposed to in a small quantity.
That's what you just said. that-
This allows the homeowner to still be able to bring their construction debris if they're replacing a window or a door.
Right, for $75.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, but the commercial contractor will not be able to purchase a coupon.
So, I mean, is there any leeway there? One window, $75? Two windows, $75? I mean, there's a gray area there.
There's a lot of gray areas, aren't you?
I think this is really a gray area. This is the gray to the gray, I think. Is the people that live here year-round that have a little bit of debris that want to dump their stuff, are they going to pay $75? They got a window and a couple of other things, a piece of sheetrock.
Yeah.
I think I don't see that really defined or any clarity in this document.
To say it another way, a person with a single chunk of sheetrock puts it in the back of the truck or vehicle by which he's taking his trash to the transfer station and gets told, throw that in the compactor. It doesn't have to go up and it doesn't have to be counted as construction.
I think what we're talking about is a pickup truck loaded with wood, and if somebody's doing a porch demolition. They load their pickup truck with wood, they take it right to the wood container up there. That's what $75 for. I don't think they're gonna have a problem if you come in.
With less than that.
Right, if you got a window and some trash bags, throw your
You maybe suggest maybe 2 barrels.
Whatever you guys want to vote.
And it's our discretion of the people that work there. I believe it is.
Yeah, this is the way it's been, and it's been all right.
Nobody's been given a hard time if they come in with a few items, because it's all going towards the...
And if it's a window, it often ends up being placed over here, so the next guy that comes in says, I want a window, and takes it away. We don't have to deal with it. So but to your point, those small loads are done that way.
Yeah, I mean, right?
No commercial loads of construction debris be accepted. Transfer station okay, here's where the fee changes occur that I talked about earlier, so those would be
5.
accommodated. They'd remain at 5. It would be raised to 5 for coupons. So the first change would not occur, the second change would occur, the third change would occur. The fourth change, which is a permit for construction debris, has a fee of $75 for non-commercial. That would remain as modified. And the one at the bottom, the fee change from $300 to $500 for a vehicle. Why do we specify the vehicle weight if that's the only vehicle we're licensing? Why don't we just say a fee of $500 for each vehicle?
Well, because there were 2 ways to quantify what size of truck was working before. When we initially started, it was a small vehicle and a larger vehicle.
Okay.
A gross vehicle weight in excess of 4,000 is just about anything nowadays. So if you're going to do any definition of gross vehicle weight, that's probably not an accurate number to use anyways, but I'd hesitate to have you say any vehicle, because then you could end up with a very large dumping vehicle that comes in and
you're saying
essentially
on the other
could be
side. Okay.
twice the size of what you really want to have up there.
Except that,
This doesn't help you either, I know. But it's here for discussion so that maybe somebody has a good idea.
well, it's paragraph E, all qualified persons engaged in collecting and hauling refuse to be delivered to the transfer station shall be licensed. The following fees shall be charged. A fee of $500 per year for each trash hauling vehicle.
Well, again, that doesn't preclude one of them purchasing one of
an
those
immense-
really huge vehicles.
Okay.
So maybe no larger than,
X.
I don't know, 15,000 gross vehicle weight, is that too much?
Bill,
Is how
Got a-
big are the trucks?
you got a comment?
To be clear, you're talking about just trash hauling.
The
Right,
trash
yes.
haulers,
Just trash haulers.
Right.
the ones that are permitted to actually pick up your trash
So
from your house.
pretty much all your trash haulers are over 4,000.
Well, we know that.
They are over
They are.
4,000.
They can't dump, right? It can't be a dump truck because we can't accept a dump truck to dump into the compactor. It has to be hand.
No, I think he's got a dump
You
truck
have
and he
a
does it.
dump?
He has a dump
You
truck.
dump?
The trash I dump, yes.
Okay. So I don't know about that.
Gross vehicle weight of my truck, 14,600 pounds.
Right, so
So I would say put it at 15,000. No, it shall be no larger than 15,000. If we know we can already accept that.
That just means they're making 2 trips.
No, we're saying that it shall be no more than a 15,000 gross vehicle weight vehicle. We already know yours is 14,600.
Right, but what I'm saying is, what does the weight have to do with?
We're simply,
Permit, I mean,
well, what if you bought one of those real trash trucks that compact the trash and you want to bring it to the transfer station?
right, I could,
So we have to put a limit on it,
Well, we're trying to
right?
prohibit that.
yeah, but, I mean, right now, I'm picking up 220 customers a week.
But
If I go to my customers, and I just run my truck more often,
We already limit the weight.
But that, pardon me, that would fill up the container at the transfer station
what are you talking
too
about?
quickly if you had a large vehicle like that. So we don't want that to happen.
How about a fee of,
Well, I think you're just gonna find that, I mean, the volume of trash that I bring in won't necessarily change, just the speed that I bring in,
Right.
Wait, what's the carrying capacity of your vehicle?
Capacity.
The carrying capacity?
The gross vehicle was 14.6, I'm not sure how it's on, but.
Because the ordinance-
I will tell you that the other guy hauling, he's doing twice as much trash as I am.
Yeah. So
With the same size truck.
we already have a limit on the carrying capacity, 3 lines above,
So
of any vehicle going to the transfer station. So I don't think we need to put that.
President,
Yeah.
just one thing. So when you get into a large trash pickup
You're
vehicle,
like a compacting truck.
you should go to Ryder with it, right? Instead of stopping at the transfer station, drop it there, we compact it, then we haul it. Larger trucks just go directly to Ryder on their own and pay their fee up there, and then they can come back with their customers. A lot of the towns, even the private haulers will bring it to Ryder directly because they're hauling so much weight. The transfer station can't handle one of those. If you decided to invest in one of those trucks, we couldn't handle that. You fill a container up in one trip, and then we'd be out of business. It takes 24 hours to switch a can, and we stuff.
So the key is the vehicle has to be one that does not compact the trash.
We do have to put a cap on the size of the vehicle that the hauler is bringing in, just to keep it
Well,
manageable.
we're not doing it with this proposal. There's no cap.
15,000. Yeah.
we haven't,
7% composting.
we haven't thought of it, so we're thinking of it.
Yeah.
I agree with that too.
Well, so what is,
I'm suggesting that we say a fee of $500 per year for each non-compacting trash hauling vehicle will be charged,
up to 15,000 pounds?
up to a
No,
gross
just-
vehicle weight of 15,000 pounds.
That's gonna kind of contradict number 3.
yeah, I don't get, so what's the point of number 3 up above that?
Yeah.
If we're going to be,
You also have to realize that my trucks that I'm hauling right now, half of it's trash, half of it's recycled. I've got, it's a 16-foot bed, I've got it split in half, 8 foot, of the boxes is trash, and 8 foot is recycled.
my point is, we're already limiting the carrying capacity of any vehicle going to the dump in this ordinance.
A
So
carrying capacity and the gross vehicle weight are 2 different numbers.
then we should choose one or the other, I would say.
A 15,000 pound gross vehicle weight probably can only hold 10,000 pounds.
My point is, it would be in conflict if we're doing one.
Gentlemen, let's pick something and move on.
Yeah, that's-
I mean, this is, we're,
I say just leave it as it is. I don't think we need to,
a fee of $500 per year for each vehicle with a gross weight in excess of 4,000 pounds.
He thinks that because number 3 above covers.
Covers it. Very good.
Tonnage.
I'm with you. And then finally, the
The
tires are in the back. All right.
Motion to approve as discussed.
second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve.
As
the,
discussed.
Change to the ordinance as has just been discussed. Highlights, no change in sticker fee.
For residents.
For residents.
Well, for stickers.
For stickers.
For stickers,
Yep.
Stickers.
yes.
Very good. Any further discussion? I'll ask for a vote on that. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you. Thank you for your patience with that, and thank you for the work that went into this. Obviously, we have more to do, and that will follow as we uncover who is actually purchasing stickers and who's not.
Bob, I'd like to make a motion to bring
You
New business one, request from Kyle Johnson for a presentation.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilor Mataronis, second by Councilor Golembeski to move item new business 1 to this point in the agenda. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. For those in the audience, this presentation is relating to their concerns with trash problems at the Secana Point Breakwater and surrounding areas.
First of all, I'd like to say one thing about Colin and Cynthia. They've lived close to me. I've had discussion with them. They're going down and cleaning off the trash off the breakwater, and I'd like to commend them very much for doing so. They're very helpful down there to try to keep Secana Point clean. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Kyle, please proceed.
All right, so I want to start off by just thanking you guys for giving me the opportunity to discuss this issue, which is important to my family and myself. I have a PowerPoint presentation here. It's only 9 slides because I wanted to be respectful of your time. So my family and I were residents of this town from 1990 through 2002. Since then, we've moved to Florida, but we like to come back here during the summer on vacation. So this year, we're actually staying down near Secana Point at 15 Nevada Road. Next slide. And while there, we started taking pretty much daily walks out to Secana Harbor and the Riprap Breakwater. And we quickly noticed that it was basically completely overloaded with trash. So between the gaps, or in the gaps of all the boulders, it was basically just packed with garbage. Here's an example of an image that I took on July 18th. We can see there's all sorts of stuff down there. Next slide. So noticing this, I ordered 2 grabber reacher tools from Amazon so that we could, try to clean it up. On our first day using them, we filled up 3 bags of trash, 3 30-gallon bags, and we weren't even able to reach the end of the breakwater. Now, almost all of this litter is originating from the fishermen who go out there to fish. Some examples of what it contains: there's bait boxes, which is shown in this image here, also taken on that same day. There's bottles, cans, cups, food containers. They'll catch fish sometimes, and rather than taking them home or letting them go or whatever, they'll just discard of them down between the rocks where they asphyxiate and die and then rot. A lot of these are those like houndfish, like mini shark type things. I don't have a picture. There's also fish hooks, some of which are still baited in fishing line. We used to walk our dogs out onto the breakwater sometimes, and one of them actually got a hold of these when we weren't, I guess, paying close enough attention, and she impaled her mouth on it and almost died, so we no longer bring either of them onto the breakwater. There's gloves, there's plastic bags. They will often urinate in bottles and containers and then shove those down into the gaps between the rocks as well. And not only do they push it down in between the rocks, they'll sometimes just leave it on top. And that's obviously also bad because then it can just blow right into the ocean.
Kyle, I'd like to make just one comment, clarification. Kyle's talking about the rod and reel fishermen that fish off Secana Breakwater. As you all know, I'm a commercial fisherman. This has nothing to do with the commercial fishermen. We work out of the fisherman's lot, and that lot is generally pretty clean most of the time. The only time it doesn't, we have the same problem as what's going on in the breakwater in the summertime, is when the squid fishermen come around. They leave all their coffee cups from Dunkin' Donuts and everywhere from wherever they're coming from in the parking lot. Commercial fishermen actually clean the parking lot every morning because we don't want to be blamed for it, because we appreciate what we have down at the point. So I just wanted to...
Yes, exactly. Sorry. Sorry, I wasn't more clear on that.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, next slide. So here from that day are the 2 pictures of my mom and myself with the 3 bags that we collected over 2 separate trips. Next slide. So how bad is this problem? So since July 18th, we've collected and disposed of about 250 to 300 pounds of garbage from this one location. So on average, it looks like about 5 new pounds of garbage collects every single day, and that's equivalent to about a third of one of those 30-gallon trash bags. More is generated on the weekends when more people come out onto the breakwater than weekdays, but weekdays are also bad. So we actually ran into the environmental police on one of our trips to collect the litter, and we talked to them, just kind of curious, like, would they be able to help with this problem? They said it was outside of their jurisdiction, and they recommended that we talk to you guys, hence why we're here. So basically, we're willing to do whatever it takes to try to help. We were just concerned about the impact on the environment. This image here is an image of a bird that died after eating a bunch of plastic. There's a lot of news reports about how bad plastic is when it enters the oceans, and when animals eat it, it can break down into microplastics. Fish eat it, then we catch the fish, we eat it. So we're just trying to work to prevent that, just because of how bad it can be for both the animal life and just the environment generally. So next slide. So more recently, on Tuesday, we had taken a few days off from picking up the garbage, and when we returned to doing so, again, we had more than one bag that we ended up filling up. We didn't get to pick up everything just because we ran out of time and there was so much. Now, we would probably just keep doing this indefinitely if we were permanent residents here. I don't know, it actually kind of makes you feel a little bit good because you can see that you're making an impact. But unfortunately, we're heading back to Florida on August 28th, so we're concerned that after that time, it's basically just going to rapidly reaccumulate at that 5-ish pound or 1/3 of a bag rate, unless further action is taken to mitigate or solve this issue. And once that happens, it's going to start making its way back into the ocean and harm the bird and marine life that I was talking about in the previous slide. So the next slide is going to depict closer up some of the litter that's wedged down between just one of the gaps between the boulders. This is just one example. This occurs all throughout the breakwater, and then kind of a close-up of everything we pulled out from there. So here we can see that. The left, a little bit hard to see, just because I guess the way the image is rendering there, it's a little bit overexposed, but it's a large pile of trash, and then on the right is everything we pulled out. So there's bait boxes there, there's plastic bags, there's food containers, there's gloves, there's a dead fish that they threw down there, and you can just imagine this is repeated over and over again throughout the entire length of the breakwater.
It's just one gap between the rocks.
Right. Next slide. So just an idea of how to maybe potentially mitigate this problem, at least a little bit. One of my favorite stories that I heard was regarding Walt Disney building his theme parks. When he set out to do so, at that time, theme parks had a reputation for being really, really filthy, and he didn't want his parks to be that way. So what he did was he actually went to other parks and he watched how long it would take people, or how long people would go looking for trash receptacles to dump their garbage before just letting it drop to the ground. And on average, he counted about 30 steps. And as a result of that, at basically all Disney locations, you're never more than 30 steps away from a trash can, because that's kind of what it takes. So we kind of tried to take that idea and apply it here. And what we did was we started tying trash bags to the light at the end of the breakwater. And we found that it seems like the fishermen who are there, and that's kind of where they are in the densest concentration, they will take about half to 2/3 of the trash that they would normally dump just into the breakwater itself or just leave on top, and they will actually put it in those trash bags. And then we can take those trash bags and we bring them back and dispose of them. Now, obviously that still leaves half to 1/3 of the trash to still accumulate on the breakwater, so it doesn't solve it 100%, but it's still making a fairly large impact. So we were thinking, if possible, if multiple bags or containers were spaced along the breakwater, and containers might be better just because, if you have rough weather, the bags could sometimes rip, that could really go a long way towards solving this issue. and preventing the environmental damage. So periodic cleanups might still be necessary in that case, but it would go a long way towards solving the problem. Next slide. So basically, just in conclusion, we really love this place. It's really heartbreaking to see it trashed the way it is, and we want to do whatever we can to help. This summer we spent a lot of time picking it up, but we want to try to see if there's any way that we can I don't know, write letters, send emails, make phone calls to see if we can arrive at a more permanent solution.
Basically, we don't want to prevent the problem, we want to help with the solution if possible. But we don't know who's responsible for that area.
Especially since the environmental police kind of said, we can't do anything about it.
And we realize it's probably not town property, but there's got to be someone that we can contact.
You're right, it is owned by the federal government, it's maintained by the Army Corps of Engineers.
Okay.
And Save the Bay comes down early fall with 8 to 10 people, and they generally clean it. As far as putting barrels, we have a barrel right at the beginning of the breakwater, and also some young people, probably 4 or 5 years ago, made a box for people to put their fishing string in it so that any birds wouldn't get hung up in the fishing string. And we have tried putting trash bags out around where the light is years ago, because this problem comes up about every 5 or 6 years. Now, whether we could try to get a hold of the Army Corps of Engineers to see if they have any thought about putting stationary trash barrels out there, then you could put a trash bag inside of it and pick the trash bag up. But then again, who's going to go pick those up? Whether our transfer station guys would do that, or which would create a liability for the town, I think. So this is a situation that's hard to deal with. It. I wish that people from out of town that come down and use our facilities would respect it, and I don't know how you go out and police unless you had a cop out there every day and saying, okay, I just saw you drop that trash, here's a ticket. I mean, whether that would work. I mean, if you send a cop out there, I mean, you'd have to talk to the police chief about that. I just don't know what the answer is to this situation.
Just so disgusting.
I know it is.
Especially with the urine,
Yeah,
bags
I know.
and the broken glass, and it's just such a beautiful place. Sad.
And they do, if there's a trash can or whatever that's put out at the end, they do use it. I mean, we've seen that just today. The one that we had placed out there on Tuesday, we hauled that away, and it probably had, I don't know, 10, 15 pounds of trash in it maybe. So, that is and not only that, but that section of the breakwater looked a lot cleaner than, before we started doing that. So it does seem like if one is placed there, they will use it. But much like kind of the Disney story, if there isn't one, they're not willing to make the journey back to the one at the end of the breakwater to dump their stuff there. So even though there is one at the end, they're just not willing, too lazy to use it, basically.
It's unfortunate that there's so many people from out of town too, because education, I think, would play a big role. When we're out in the breakwater collecting trash, what's interesting to me is the people that are there fishing, their children often stop to help us, and they're very enthusiastic about picking up the litter with us. But the parents, not always as much.
So do you think this is people are fishing that probably are littering?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's the day fishermen, and I could almost guarantee you that a lot of them don't have fishing licenses. So that might not be a way.
That's why the environmental police are down there, because they do a sting 3 or 4 times a year and go out, walk the breakwater and ask for fishing licenses. So
Can I ask the solicitor a question?
Dick?
Yes.
Do our ordinances cover the breakwater? Or is it because it's federally controlled, our ordinances have no authority?
I think our ordinance make some reference to it, but the authorities we've got don't.
Because, I mean, we've got ordinance that prohibits it, and I mean, according to the violation, you can fine them $100 and throw them in jail for 30 days for littering on it. I mean, I don't want to go that extreme, but couldn't one of the more simple solutions be signage? Just saying, you know, you violate this ordinance as I mean, you see no littering signs all over the place, fines.
I was going to suggest that maybe the DPW director could have a sign made up, please take your trash with you, or whatever they generally use anywhere. Just, I mean, that's something that can be done within a week, I would assume. Put a post in down there and put a signage
I
up.
thought, Senator, can you even put no bottles, cans are allowed from this point? I mean, they gotta get thirsty fishing, I know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that may stop some of it, right? No, nothing allowed from here. Here's your stuff to throw the garbage in. Then you have the signage.
Especially the glass bottles. I mean, actually, the plastic is worse, but, you know, there's a lot of broken glass down there.
And all due respect to the people who don't speak English, I think the sign should be in multiple languages.
Right, it's got to be in 3 different languages.
Just what it is, what it is.
Those are some good suggestions. I think that what we've just been talking about is certainly a step that can be taken. Increase the number of opportunities to throw stuff away. Tell people that you can't, you know, it's punishable by death. It's punishable by a
You shall be stuffed between the
particular
rocks.
thing. But, and then the idea of prohibiting materials from here on, kind of thing, from this point forward.
Bill, could you have them put another trash barrel down there a little bit closer to the breakwater?
So we can do many of those things. The signage is really easy at the beginning. I would suggest that maybe we address those to the only floor and ask them if we can place some barrels out at the light at the end, and then maybe not have our men do it, but see if we can get a company to go out and jump over the rocks and let them incur the liability to go out and empty our trash maybe once a month, or something that makes sense fiscally, because, you know, we didn't budget for it, but it's probably important to make an effort to see what we can do. But the Army Corps, I believe, would have to give us permission, right? So,
Well,
to keep a barrel out there and
Yeah.
have a company come and we can do things on the land, and I just really don't want to have the guys out there.
no, it's a liability issue for the
And
town.
a time issue too. We don't have
Yeah.
time, really, but I don't want to use that as an excuse. Not true.
Do you think you could take control of this, Bill?
Well, we can give it a shot, right? We
I think we need to get the signage right up there, right?
Signage is easy. That's good.
Signage right at the entrance to it, and then another barrel right at the entrance. And
So I would entertain a motion that the town administrator, working with the Director of Public Works, undertake this effort. Establish signage, communicate with the Army Corps of Engineers regarding trash pickup and...
another barrel.
And the additional barrel.
I'll move that.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
For bringing our attention.
Thank you very much.
It's a start, Cynthia. It's a start.
Yeah.
Maybe the $100.
And you can also talk to the chief of police and get his input, Bill.
Yes, I will.
All right?
All right.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming forward. Thank you for everything you do down there.
You take what you need from that. It won't
Please.
harm us at all.
Thanks.
Be careful if you move the clerk will your way.
Do you happen to have that presentation electronically that you can email it to me?
Yes.
That'll give me, I'll print it out in color then from my file.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Oh, thank you.
Returning to the agenda, entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 5th.
Motion to approve the minutes of the council meeting of August 5th, 2021, and also the August 16th, 2021 joint meeting with the Charter Review.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion?
I heard you first, Andrew.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. I have no announcements. Are there any that someone else needs to make? Old business, a proposal for the extension of Special Directive 5. This will be the 13th extension. The state continues to
Motion to approve.
be in a state of emergency. Motion made and seconded. Further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. New business, a request from the town administrator for award of a roofing repair contract for the public safety complex.
That was the presentation.
You want to speak to this, Tony?
Yeah, certainly. This is a long-standing problem that we've had at the public safety complex. We are, in occasions, we've had employees we've had to use plastic, to cover equipment in there. The chief's had some issues in his office, Chief Passion, that is. And so if you take a look at the shingles right now, they posted, especially at the very top and in some of the other areas throughout the building. So it's a much needed project.
And you feel that the Sessler Contracting is the most responsive bid?
Yes.
Okay. I'll move that Sessler Contracting get awarded the bid to replace the roof as described in their proposal.
I'll second your motion.
Motion made by Monroe, second by McHugh. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The next item is a request from the council, or to consider requesting that the solicitor prepare with advice and input from the administrator and zoning official a draft ordinance concerning compassion centers in the town. Compassion centers in the Rhode Island general law is a nonprofit corporation subject to the provisions registered under that acquires, possesses, cultivates, manufactures, delivers, transfers, transports, supplies, or dispenses marijuana and or related supplies and educational material to cardholders and their registered caregivers. So we need such a thing. We have a draft that's been put together. We need to get that to the solicitor and then have that put forward through the ordinance process.
So we need a motion on that.
We do.
Motion to allow the solicitor to prepare with advice and input from the town administrator and the zoning official a draft ordinance concerning compassion centers in town. Bring it back to the council.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Mataron, second by Golembeski. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next is sitting as the Board of License Commissioners, a request from the Little Compton Community Center asking to transfer a Class F one-day beverage license previously approved for August 4th to be used August 25th due to the cancellation of the event.
Motion to approve with all contingent state and local ordinance adhered to.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. By way of communication, a communication from Carter Wilkie offering his presentation given at the Little Compton Historical Society annual meeting on Does Farming Have a Future in Little Compton? I would tell you, if you haven't had an opportunity to read through this, this captures extremely well what's facing us as a farming community that counts itself as a farming community, but needs to focus on what matters in order to preserve what we have. It's insufficient simply to say that we do farming here and then go do things that don't support farming. So,
Well, I read through it and I thought it was very good, and then I got this flyer from a young gentleman from Greenwood Pastures, a local farm foods delivery. So he's on 361 Main Road, and I would hope that everybody would support him. He's making honey, and I guess he's selling beef products from Pretty Rock Farm, chicken, pork, and honey. This is who the people we need to support,
Yeah.
right
But
here.
I think
And
it
and all
needs to
those
be
farmers.
a coordinated effort to say to us, farming in Little Compton is not simply vistas with rolling cornfields, but rather, it is that, but it's not, that's not the limit to what it is. It's far more than that in the sense that not only do we have to have it, but we also need to support it. We got
Right.
to figure out how to make that happen. So,
Well said.
that's a task.
Motion to place on file?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Request for a pole placement by National Grid and Verizon.
I reviewed this, it's a standard form for a pole placement on town road. I believe this one is US Bills. Yes. And the pole's in line with the other poles, and there's a pole going across the street, there's no interference, I'm assuming the highway superintendent has no problem with it either. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Finally, an abatement list from the tax assessor.
I talked to the tax assessor
Who
about,
remains with us, I would point out.
you want to handle it?
No, I'm just saying,
Okay, yeah.
she's giving credit to the tax.
Well, I did talk to the tax
Yeah.
assessor, which is here in the audience,
Thank you.
okay? And her explanation was she couldn't get in to the garage, and so she assumed value to it, and then when she could get in, it wasn't quite as modeled as what she thought it was, so I'm going to make a motion to approve the abated amount of $118.99.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I have an executive session listed. There is no need for such a session. We're not ready to bring anything forward with respect to that matter of potential litigation. Finally, the payment of bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second?
Any further
I
discussion?
have a quick discussion, I know we're here all one time, very quickly. Everlasting Designs and Tyler Technologies had a discussion with Clark and Tony about what they were. I didn't know they were, so now I know what they are. I would like to task the town administrator for a 2-year summary for Everlasting Designs. I'd be interested to know how much we're paying for that. I don't know if I need to vote for that or not. And I'd like to see the Untitled Technologies contract we have with them. I'm just interested to see that. And quickly, the Pinone, Lopes, Devereaux, and O'Gara legal. I'm just wondering, is there other things besides what the solicitor does if we have to go out to other firms for legal, to pay for legal work?
Yes, there are. This particular one is contract negotiations, which the administrator needed specific support for particular questions from.
Contract negotiations, that's what this,
That's what
1372.50.
That's what this one is, that's
Thank you.
right.
Thank you
Yep.
for that.
And then your more general question, are there other such things? There are, and in general, that would, for example, be the subject of this executive session discussion. Thank you. Any further matters? Finding there are none, I declare that...
Nope, we didn't vote yet for the
All in
bills. We're
favor?
going to pay the
For the
bills.
bills. The bills have been...
Motion was made.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
Having no further business.
I'll second the motion.
Sorry, Bob.
Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.